That is so much better. I had to stop and wash the daily rather, accumulation of bugs off of my windshield. I run down in the south mostly. This week I ran up to Ohio, back down through Indiana and Kentucky, over to Tennessee, back over to Missouri. Now we're headed back down to Georgia. I just left doing a drop and hook. Got to go down to Atlanta for in the morning. I'm going to have to find a place to park down there. But these bugs, I mean, it's bug season and these bugs are horrible. And it's not even really to peak bug season yet. So I think we're going to have a really bad buggy year this year. So I wanted to talk today about something that has happened to me with a couple of personal friends, and talk about the channel here, what's going on. I guess just give an update. I'm just really talking. I'm trying a different format out here, and I'm thinking that I like it. We'll see how it works out. I've had these this wireless microphone system in my truck for, I guess, as long as I've had this channel. I ordered it off of eBay a long time ago, and I've only used it a handful of times, couple of times actually, in a video. But I see people using them on short videos a lot. The guys will clip them onto the brim of their hat. If you ever watch Country, I've talked about Country on this channel before. If you ever watch his channel, YouTube channel Country, he uses a wireless microphone. He clips it onto the bill of his ball cap, and a few other people do too. But I'm going to try this format out, see if I like it. Just have the GoPro going and my wireless mic on and just talking, and that way at night all I have to do is just do a little editing and we got us a video. We'll see how it goes. It's more like a combination between everything that I've been doing on YouTube. Commentary, opinion piece, news articles that we discuss here, plus a vlog style thing. So that leads me up to something else. And a couple of personal friends of mine and I recently had a bad falling out, I guess you could say. We were in arguments with each other. And with them guys, they're both truck drivers. They're brothers and they're both truck drivers. And with those guys, it's like this constant repeat thing with them, to where every day they want to do the same thing. They want to get on the phone and they want to scream at traffic. They want to scream at their job. They want to scream at how bad their situation is at home, with money, with everything. Now, that's not all they talk about. I mean, it's not just a constant gripe fest 24 hours a day. But they want to go through this whole process of griping at this and griping at this and griping at this and griping at this. And it's a same old daily repeat. Every time I get on the phone, it's the same old, same old, same old. Well, I told one of the guys once, he was griping about the company that he worked for and how awful they had made his life. And it was just a constant gripe, gripe, gripe. They just keep you here. They just give you enough to where you can survive, but it's not enough to where you can save up to get out of it and to go do something else. And I'm just like, I knew a guy that worked down there where you were at, and he left. Yeah, well, that's him. You know, and it was always excuse, excuse, excuse. And I told him he was an excuse factory. That's exactly what I told him. I said, it sounds like you're an excuse factory. You can make an excuse for everything. And he just sat there for a long time. And I said, man, look, there's things you can change and there's things you can't. You're getting them mixed up. You're basically saying everything is out of your control and you can't fix anything. But all you can do is sit there and blame and blame and blame and blame everybody for your situation. Which leads me up to something that I learned back whenever I was a manager, you know, many years ago. That was a constant fight that I had to break up, working with people in the public and working with workers. There was this one girl that worked up at the store, and she had just this mean streak to her. I mean, she had a very mean streak to her, and she disliked older women. This was a young girl that was working at the store, and she disliked older women. Didn't like them at all. They would come in and she would just throw her head back and roll her eyes and, it's the white-haired ladies again. And I was like, what's wrong with that? I mean, that's our customers. They come in every day. You don't know how bad they get on my nerves. And that's something that I learned early on in life. There are things that are in your control, and there are things that are out of your control. And it all depends on the way you conduct yourself, the way that you handle life situations. Now, I think personally, as you get older, things slow down and they irritate you less. I mean, when I was younger, things would just instantly set me off. I mean, it was just a constant with me of having to take a break and count to 10 to regain my composure about things. And these two guys that I'm friends with, they're younger. They're younger. One is late 20s, the other one is mid 30s. They're younger guys. They're high strung, full of adrenaline, and they're truck drivers on top of that. So it is a constant egotistical daily trip that they go on. And I was trying to understand, and I was trying to get into, resolving the problem with them. And what I realized is they don't want the problem resolved. They don't want the problem fixed. They want to gripe about it. because that would take effort on their part, you know, to resolve the problem. It would take effort on their part. They would have to come down to earth, get off of their high horse, come down to earth, put their feet down to the ground, and say, well, maybe the problem's me. Maybe the problem is how I've created the problem for myself. Oh, they're not going to do that. That's what I realized. They will not do that. That is not going to happen. And I've went through this discussion with these guys over and over. You know, why does traffic bother you? And they go in this long, detailed, you know, like hour-long discussion about why traffic bothers them. Well, as stupid people, they don't know how to drive. They pass you, they get in front of you, they slow you down, they block you in. They don't let you get onto the interstate. They don't let you get off of the interstate. It's just a constant struggle. And I was very patient and was listening and listening. And I brought up a very good, valid point. It really irritates you? And they were like, yeah, it really, really gets under my skin. The traffic is out of control. And it really gets under my skin. And I said, you're a truck driver. Yeah? And traffic really gets under your skin and makes it almost impossible for you to have a civil life and to go through your daily routine? Yeah. Well, why don't you fix the problem and get out of trucking? Oh, well, see, that's the thing. I can't. I'm stuck. See, it's like an excuse factory. It's just a constant excuse for their actions. It's a constant excuse for their attitude. And they don't want to fix anything. They just want to gripe about it. And it was very, very clear to me the other day. We were talking about money and finances and stuff. And it got brought up, you know, well, why don't you save money? Oh, I can't. I mean, it would absolutely bankrupt me to stick $20 back. And I was like, wait, did you really just say that? It would absolutely bankrupt you. It would devastate you financially to stick $20 back in a savings. Yeah. I mean, it literally takes every penny, every dollar that I make for us to survive. And I said, that's not true. Yes, it is. It's very true. And I said, that's not true. And I can prove it in 2 seconds. Okay, well, prove it to me then. If you know so much about my personal finances, prove it to me. And I said, is your check the exact same dollar amount every single week? Is it exactly the same? No. Is your bills, what bills you pay, are they exactly the same to the dollar every week? No. And I said, well, there you go. I just proved you wrong. I know your bills probably fluctuate anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per week, and probably so does your paycheck, because this guy's an owner-operator. And I said, there you go. The reason you won't save $20 or the reason you can't save $20 is because you won't save $20. And he sat there for a minute and he said, yeah, you're right. And I said, so therefore, you don't have any valid reason to be griping all the time. Maybe not, but I'm going to keep doing it. So I have separated myself from the situation. And I have told both of these guys, if you're wanting to keep doing the same thing, you wanting to keep arguing and fighting and doing the same thing every day, every week, then I can't help you with the situation. And I'm not causing your situation, so why are you griping at me? Well, I got to gripe at somebody. And I said, well, gripe at somebody else, because I don't know how to fix your situation. And it's getting on my nerves to listen to you gripe about your situation, because you don't know the difference between what is under your control that can be fixed and what's out of your control that you can't fix. You're going to have to make that decision for yourself. Griping and screaming and wanting me to listen to it is not resolving anything. You're making my life miserable. Because it's like I'm doing something wrong and I'm getting yelled at. Well, no, it's just I want somebody to listen. And I said, I don't want to. That's the problem that you don't realize. I don't want to listen to your constant griping. Fix your problem. I will be more than glad to help you along the way and help you fix the problem, but you've got to be willing to. Just sitting there and constantly griping and griping and griping and then finding stuff to gripe about, there will be no end to that road. That will be a road that just keeps going and going and going endlessly for all of eternity. Yeah, I guess you're right. And then they wanted to get an attitude. Well, I guess everything we do is wrong and everything you do is right. And I said, excuse factory again. You're wanting to pull excuses out to where you make me listen to you. This happened to me personally. I forget about this a lot. You know, I do forget about this a lot because I get complacent. I'm an introvert. My wife hit the nail on the head a long time ago when she said I was an introvert. I can get very complacent to where I just go to work and go home and I'm like a ghost. You know, I just go to work and go home. And I get very complacent with it. But there was this woman, trucking company owner that I used to work for. She made the comment one day, caught me totally off guard. She caught me totally off guard. And she said, David, why don't you ever just come and talk to me? Sit down and talk to me. And I said, about what? Well, why do you just let stuff bottle up inside of you and then all of a sudden one day you just explode and you just let it all out? Why don't you come talk to me and we can figure out what the problem is? And I just stopped and I said, I do that? Yeah, you do that a lot. You just sit there and take it and take it and take it until one day you just, you know, it's like you take the lid off of a shaken up soda bottle and you just explode. And I was like, are you sure that I do that? Yeah. And I sat there for a minute and I was thinking and thinking about what she was talking about. And then it hit me what she was saying. I didn't talk to her all through the week while I was out on the truck. I didn't have any conversation with her. But on the week, at the end of the week, whenever I would come to turn in my paperwork and I would talk to her, you know, it wasn't that I was exploding and going off on her. I was saying stuff that I didn't like. Talking about stuff within the company, runs that I didn't like and deadhead. I was an owner-operator for this company, and I was just stating the things, I didn't like. It wasn't really exploding. It's just the fact of what I was just saying. She didn't want to hear it. Her ears were turned off. She was the type of person, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to run this company the way I want to run it. You either like it or you leave it. It's my way or the highway. She wouldn't listen to anything. She wouldn't change for anybody. What she was wanting me to do was to break down to where she was in 100% control of me and every action that I did. And while I was sitting there running all this information through my head, and she was blinking her eyes saying, well, will you start talking to me? And I said, I just had a realization. I understand what the problem is now. And she was like, oh, you do? And I said, yeah. And she said, so you need to calm down and, don't say the stuff that you say and everything, right? And I said, no, I just need to quit and go to work for a company where I fit in. And her eyes got so big around, her mouth came open, and she was like, well, everybody else likes it here. And I said, not from what I'm hearing. Because there's a lot of people that gripe even more than me. And I said, you have a very high turnover rate here. So, yeah, it's not a perfect job. It's not for everybody. And the pay sucks. But there's one person that's doing really well here, and that's you. Oh, she didn't like that at all. She didn't like to hear that at all. And I said, I'm addressing the problem here. Oh, she didn't like that. And from that point on, she and I really didn't talk at all. We didn't get along at all. And it was like I was counting my days down until I could get out of there. Because she realized then that I realized what was going on. And that I was going to fix the problem. I guess the whole moral to all of this, instead of it just being, random discussions, there's things in life, just start naming things. There's things in life that you can control. Like this truck. I can control this truck for the most part. With all the new sensors and automatic braking, it wants to control itself. But for the most part, I can control this truck. I can control what I do. I can control my savings. I can control my income a lot of times. There's a lot of things that are in my control. There's a lot of things in life that is out of my control. Natural disasters, hurricanes, storms. There's things that are totally out of my control that I can't fix. That I have no decision making in. I think as you get older, that you realize this fact that there are things that are just in this world that's out of your control that you can't fix. And I see a pattern with people, and it's not just truck drivers, it's people in general. I see a pattern with a lot of people. They start getting stuck in this gripe mode, this constant gripe session. And the louder they get, the more animated they get, the higher their blood pressure comes up, the more people like them. Until the point where they're just screaming their head off about stuff that bothers them that's totally out of their control. They're not going to fix every problem in the world. So why do you want to get your blood pressure up screaming at the top of your lungs about stuff that you can't fix? Here's another side of it, though. There's one other side of it, though, is you shouldn't totally ignore everything either. That's why we have politics. Politics, basically what the definition of politics is a group discussion and putting people in a position of power to resolve society's problems. That's basically what politics is. It doesn't have to do with just politicians. You know, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, you know, John Thurn, Mike Johnson, all these politicians. It's not just about them. It's about our society and how we react to certain things and what we deem is stuff that is in our control and things that are out of our control. So we bring people to a higher level in elected positions and other positions around in our society. We bring these people up and we say, hey, will you help resolve this problem? That's why I believe Trump was elected, overwhelmingly elected, is because so many people saw the problems that we were dealing with and they entrusted him to create a solution to fix the problems. You know, I think that is the direction that I want to go with this channel from now on. Is not me just being a know-it-all to where I know how to fix everything. I'm like a jack of all trades, a master of none. I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I don't know a lot about any certain area of anything. But one thing that I do have is common sense. I have common sense. Screaming at the top of your lungs about traffic, that's not going to fix anything. that will fix absolutely nothing In fact, it'll cause more problems because it's going to raise your blood pressure up so high, you're going to end up having a heart attack or have some kind of stress-related illness. If it bothers you that much, then maybe you need to find another profession. Maybe you need to find another company to work for. Maybe you need to find a company that doesn't push you so hard that you're having to weave in and out of traffic and push your way through it, trying to get to where you need to get to on time because your schedules are so tight. Maybe if it's a situation where you're so stressed out because you're an owner-operator, your truck keeps breaking down over and over. You keep spending money over and over trying to get your truck to stay on the road, and you're not making any money. Maybe you don't need to be an owner-operator anymore. Just a thought, something to think about. That's all I've got for now. You guys have a good day.